Hello, everyone. We're going to wait about 2 more minutes to let everyone get settled. So just hang in there for 2 minutes and we'll get started. Thank you. Hello, everyone. 1 more minute until we start the presentation. We just got some last people joining right now, so I want to give them the opportunity to get set up and get ready to go. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and to our partners in EMEA, good evening. Welcome to the latest webinar to the cloud and beyond. I'm Michael Elliott, and joining me today is Gary Hill, who has the title of Product Marketing Manager, but that really belies what your true experience is. You've worked for MSPs. You're a technologist. You've got a lot of letters that could go behind your name and capability. But just a quick introduction of yourself, Gary, and your background would be awesome.
Yeah, guys, thanks for joining. Definitely did come from the MSP space, medical vertical for 3.5 years. A sales engineer. So I started here at Axient, moved into some channel development position, managing some of our distributor relationships, and then now moved into product marketing management position.
So brilliant. I thank you very much. Gary comes with a wealth of information. I want to thank everyone for joining. Before we get started, if you have questions, feel free to put that either in the question box or the chat box. I do want to make sure everyone knows that if you hang with us till the end, we are giving away an Amazon gift card at the end of the presentation, and we will do that live for the people that hang with us. So make sure you're hanging on and make sure you're putting in questions for us. Also want to announce that in the chat box is a link to the summer treat wave. And the treat wave is something that's done every year. It's a bunch of partners that come together and put up gifts and awards for folks for participating in with this. So like I said, there's a link in the chat box and allow you to sign up. And by signing up, you automatically get gift cards just for signing up. So there are gift cards from Amazon. There are gift cards from Dairy Queen, one of my favorite summer hangout places. It's not good for my waistline, but yeah, it's probably too much information for all of you. But I'm sure you agree. And then there's a grand prize winner with that of $1,400. It includes a grill, tent, sunglasses, Kindles, a whole bunch of stuff that grand prize winner is going to be able to win. So with that, I always like to kick off these things with a poll. So we're going to put up a poll and get your thoughts around Microsoft Office 365, friend or foe. So if you could come back to us and say, do you like Office 365? Do you think they're good? Or is it an enemy to what you're trying to do from a perspective of trying to generate revenue? Gary, kind of thoughts on how you think people are going to respond to this?
So typically I do a lot of lunch presentations, and I usually get people that raise both hands. So we probably should have added a third option here. I think that whenever I started at an MSP about 5 to 6 years ago, I definitely viewed Microsoft as more on the faux part instead of the friend. But I can tell you that over time, I've definitely, shifted that to the friend measure there. So
I wonder if we put up Apple and whether we'd have the same numbers, because the results came back and it's 83% of the folks feel that they're a friend and 17% of the people feel it's a foe. And I don't know if that's, what do you think people think it's a foe? Is it G Suite? Is it because they're trying to control the world? But I think Amazon's trying to do that. So
I think Microsoft just made a lot of good decisions in their business practice and what and they know the market that they're selling to. So
no, that's probably very good. All right, so we're going to go to the next slide and talk about what was the Office 365 subscription growth year over year. And I guess I shouldn't be surprised by this, that they have a growth of 23%. Knowing that, and I've been following the cloud space for a while, and I think Microsoft was a little bit behind on cloud and Office 365, but seeing where they are today and how fast they're growing, I guess 23% probably is a pretty accurate number. Thoughts around that, Gary?
yeah, I think that's just the direction of the market. It's costly to have those on-prem servers. Kind of, coming into our next slide is kind of the cost of servers and that migration path to the cloud. So yeah, I think 15 is definitely a fair number, and it's definitely growing year over year.
So when you're out and you're having these conversations, I mean, is there a reluctance for people to get rid of servers? I mean, is servers, first of all, it's profitable for them to put servers in a client site and not go to the cloud, but there's also profitability around cloud. So do you see a reluctance to people to embrace the cloud and start to move, whether it's applications or Exchange, to the cloud, or are people starting to really embrace that?
Yeah, I think that it's kind of 50-50 there. The majority of what I see is folks not having the time to do these type of projects, that they're not, not necessarily that they're resistant to it, but more about the time. And then, get some of the old school MSPs that are just thinking of the one-time cost and don't really see the value in the monthly recurring revenue stream.
Yeah, I sometimes I think of those people as more dinosaurs, but maybe there is security reasons or preset reasons why they're not willing to migrate to cloud. But I got a feeling the people on the call today, they're really focused on that movement to the cloud, or already in the process or some stage of that. So let's go ahead and talk about the standpoint of, we've done a lot of work around total cost of ownership and doing some calculations of what that looks like to move to the cloud. So I was wondering if you could kind of share just kind of a look from that TCO calculator perspective, what that looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. And, kind of what I did when we were building this with the whole team of us on a call when we were going through getting this built, was took some numbers that were pretty fair from my MSP days, just a medium, smaller size MSP, probably about 25 clients or so. And then, just assumed that we could do, a migration of 18 of the 35 servers that we identified as potentials to the cloud. This is going above and beyond, Exchange only. It's also talking about file servers and being able to migrate those to the cloud to our anchor products. And then as well as the migration of on-prem Exchange or other mail servers to the Office 365 environment. And one thing that we'll be talking about here in a few minutes after we get through the calculator is that we have a partnership with BitTitan to help that migration to the cloud. So don't want to ruin those slides too early here, but essentially, we kind of geared here of how much you could attach Office 365 backup to the licenses in the cloud, as well as a 30% migration of those file servers to the cloud. So let me go to the pretty version here. Pretty version shows that your revenue today, in this model could be around 580,000, and your future revenue could be 930,000 with a gain of 132,000 a year in revenue, right? So just if you guys are interested in running some calculations on your particular environment across all of your customer base, our team is fueled and ready to go with this calculator that we built to be able to generate a report card. And then we've also, partnered with that BitTitan, and then, also our internal products to be able to create the path for the migration and make that an easy and simple process for you.
Yeah, and I think what you're going to see pretty quickly from us is being able to make this kind of calculations more public facing. I know it's something behind the scenes, but that's kind of a goal here at Axient, is to put that information out there so that you can just run the calculator yourself and figure out how best to utilize, what makes sense to go to the cloud. And I'd love to hear people's thought, and if you want to just put it in the chat or in the question perspective, big part of moving from a server base to moving things to the cloud is the multiples you get from a valuation of your company, moving from just buying servers and placing them on site and moving that to cloud and to a monthly recurring revenue stream, the valuations you get. So I'd love to see what people's thoughts are around that. Just feel free to throw in the chat, and I'll be answering kind of as we go through. But let's kind of evolve into what it takes to migrate from on-prem to the cloud and some of the tool sets that are available to partners to be able to do that.
Beautiful. So kind of what we want to start with is BitTitan. I actually utilized BitTitan at the MSP I was at. We did a migration of about 300 end users in about 40 corporate office locations and 100 remote users throughout the United States. It was a pretty painless process, so I definitely bought into the tool. So that hence is the agreement with BitTitan to partner and be able to talk about their products here on our webinars. Okay, so the first thing that I want to start with is, and I usually do this in these presentations, is a poll. So the poll is, let's call it one user. How much time would it take to migrate per user manually without using any sort of automation tools? That would be, exporting PST, importing into the new environment, or, so on and so forth. So I'll let you guys have a few minutes here to answer some of these pre-built questions. Awesome. We have some rolling in here. 60 minutes, more hours, right? 120. So on the higher end is kind of what I'm seeing here, which is pretty typical. And I've done some manual migrations myself, and exporting a PST can take multiple hours whenever you're doing that, depending upon that environment. So poll results, we're at about 60% of you are thinking that it's about an hour, and then everybody else is above and beyond that. So pretty standard. What BitTitan can do is actually reduce that time to an average of 3 minutes per user. There's also no downtime whenever you're doing a migration with BitTitan. So it is copying that data, so it never deletes any data from the on-prem server or the other location that it's moving from. It's always doing a copy and paste, and it's reaching out in the background until you're ready to do that cutover, and then it does the you just simply do the DNS cutover, and then it's going to go ahead and do some more evaluations on that old environment, until you tell it to stop. Security, compliance, just as we have, a primary focus in being secure and compliant for you guys, BitTitan is as well. So that was another reason in our decision to go with BitTitan compared to some of the other folks out there.
I'm going to interrupt you, Gary, because I want to make sure I understand that. So you don't have to essentially do this over a weekend. You can do this during the working week.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you. I wanted to clarify that.
Yep. I spent multiple after hours, doing some of these manual migrations when we didn't utilize the BitTitan tool, for smaller environments. It was even, I can think of some 5-user environments where I would spend, almost an entire Saturday, doing exports and importing into the new environment, setting it up, so on and so forth. So I don't want to go through the rest of this slide just for the consideration of time. But what does come with the BitTitan bundle, the migration bundle, is first the health check. The health check will, determine if the environment's compatible. The browsers, the Office versions. With some of those folks out there, I know probably still have old 2003 and so on and so forth versions of Office. So we'll be able to have those reports of those environments, or if the Exchange server on-prem needs to have any security patches or anything to that nature, it's going to help you have all of that answered prior to even going to present a quote to that environment or to that customer. Second's remediation, so they're going to help you through the process of getting everything up to speed. And then the migration whiz is the actual thing that's working in the background of reaching out, gathering the data as it's changing, and importing that into the Office 365 environments in real time, all behind the scenes without needing any type of on-prem storage or anything of that nature. And then Deployment Pro, from whenever I utilized this tool, we'll call it three years ago or so, maybe 4. The Deployment Pros actually made some pretty cool enhancements. One of the things that I like the most is that it actually copies over the signatures from their old accounts, as well as if they had any PSTs attached, right? So those were a couple of the pains that I had from that environment that took a little bit of time afterwards that they've solved now. They've done about 14 million customer migrations over to the Office 365 platform utilizing the BitTitan tool.
So from an end user perspective, is it relatively seamless, extremely seamless? Is it when they come in on Monday, say you do the final cut over the weekend, which is just the DNS switch, what's the experience like for the end client?
Perfect. Yeah. So every end customer, you actually deploy out the Deployment Pro. That's why the name is that, I'd say. You deploy it out by an RMM or through Active Directory. The very first thing that they ever notice is an additional prompt that tells them to enter their Office or their mail credentials. They enter those, and then that all gets pumped into the migration wizard, and that's how it gets the data on the back end. And then what happens whenever you decide to do the cutover, they will come in on Monday morning, we'll call it, log into their computers, and in the background, it automatically switches their profile over, all without noticing, and then it'll just download that data right in the background right there.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
As you can see, I've never done this before, so I rely on Gary for the expertise and knowledge on just how easy this can be.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Michael. All right, so don't want to spend a lot more time here on the BitTitan product. We have a close connection with one of our distributors that resells this product, and a bundle. We actually have a discounted bundle whenever you buy our CloudFinder product and the BitTitan product together. You're going to get a cheaper upfront cost for that. So we'll be able to share those details with you on the follow-up here. So want to go ahead and move into the next piece. We are covering a couple different items here. The next piece is the Microsoft Office 365 Services Agreement. Actually states that they are not liable for any loss that you may suffer in their environment, and that they recommend you use a third-party solution like our CloudFinder product to back up the data that lives in their environment. So most folks that I bring this to don't really know that Microsoft doesn't protect their data in the environment. Customers definitely don't for the most part. So just being able to utilize things like this to go to your customers and let them know the value of doing a backup of the Office 365 environment is huge. So this will be content that we have available on our Axient marketing portal for you guys to be able to utilize whenever you're trying to sell our products to your end customers. So be sure to ask the representative, your Axient representative, about the Axient marketing portal.
Yeah, and I know one of our largest partners, that's how he discovered that Microsoft doesn't back up the data is when they lost it. They had an accident, not an accidental. One of their clients deleted their data, left the company, whatever, deleted data, and the client leadership said, hey, can you get that information back? And it had been over a month. He said, sure. And then he tried to do that, and sure became, well, actually, I can't. And that's when he really started to adopt Cloud Finder and the solution set to be able to guarantee that he can provide that backup information no matter what the reason.
Yeah, I ran into some similar situations at the MSP. Somebody after migration noticed about a year later they were missing a folder, and thinking that they could go back and just retrieve that information that was accidentally deleted, and it was not the case. All right, so moving on to the next slide here. So, a lot of folks don't, they try to sell the products, individually. So what I found success in, and what, a couple other vendors found success in early on, is actually creating a bundle. So an email bundle that includes multiple items. So, it includes the Office 365 license, unlimited backup, unlimited revisions, unlimited storage now with our Cloud Finder products, maybe even a third-party spam filter like Sophos. So I went ahead and threw some of the cost up here, just estimated cost that you can get these products for at your price, right? And then being able to sell that at $25 per seat or so would yield you a 35 to 40% profit margin. Instead of the, we'll call it 12 to 18 that you're probably getting from the Microsoft if you're lucky. And then if you're, trying to sell these other products a la carte, then, folks are always going to try to nickel and dime you down. So if they do want to knock $1 off you can still, be above 30% profit by, giving $1 or $2 discount. So happy to, hear any suggestions or anything that's working for you guys as well out there in the market as well. So please feel free to respond to the emails that you got, or throw it into the questions, and happy to utilize that going forward. Michael, do you want to talk about the Axient Business Availability Suite?
Absolutely. So, and I was responding to a question, so I'll get back to that. Actually, I'm going to just put this out to you, Gary, before I go into this. And Microsoft can recover files, and we should elaborate, and I think we're going to go into a demo and talk about all the capabilities of Cloud Finder. But yes, Microsoft can recover files given certain time parameters and certain conditions. But Gary, can you kind of address what those conditions, what those parameters are like, and what it's like to work with Microsoft to recover those files?
Yeah, absolutely, and I've definitely had to do that before. So first is how you're talking to Microsoft for the most part. The typical interaction is through a chat window where you're waiting for a response, or waiting for an email back, or a phone call that might come, the following day from Washington State, a 425 area code to be particular. And then the second is it's about a 14-day period that the deleted items are recoverable from the Outlook Exchange environment. That can be increased to a maximum of 30 days using PowerShell, and that's per the Microsoft documentation. So that's items that were deleted from the deleted items, and utilizing the Outlook client and the recover deleted items feature. So behind the scenes, utilizing Microsoft Direct, there could be a little bit longer of a time frame there, but the average of what we hear out there, and we've heard a lot of horror stories, that over that 30-day mark, unless if you're paying them a ton of money, then you're probably not going to be getting that data back easily at all.
I appreciate that, and thank you, Gloria, for that question. Let's chat real quickly about Axient, the Business Availability Suite. And our kind of focus and goal is to provide a single portal that gives you the capability of what we talk about to protect everything. And what I mean from that is your ability to protect applications, to protect data, protect your virtualized environment, to be able to spin up brand new servers, to be able to virtualize both locally and in the cloud. And we have a number of solutions that allow you to do this from the standpoint of business continuity perspective, from a disaster recovery as a service perspective, Office 365 protection, which we're talking about, as well as cloud enabling your file servers, the capability to essentially migrate your on-premise file servers to the cloud, or work in more of a hybrid mode to allow for remote access of your partners and collaboration around that. So a lot of capability around that we can get into. But I want to kind of start to move into the demo so you can start to see kind of what these solutions look like and how they work. So if we can start to go into let's talk about Axient Anchor first and kind of go into that.
Beautiful. Thanks there. So I'm going to go ahead and just switch gears here. Give me a second. I have these screens already pulled up. So I don't want to get too in the weeds on a demo of the product. What I really wanted to showcase today on this call is our file server enablement feature. Let me just make sure you guys can see the screen. One moment here.
As we switch over to the actual demo system,
it is not switching. Let me just stop sharing real fast.
There you go. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Sometimes technology is a little more advanced than we think it should be. And yep, we're on. Good to go.
Beautiful. Thanks for that, guys. All right. So what I want to really showcase with the Anchor product, obviously the highlight of this is, migrating to the cloud and the tools that we can provide to you to do that. So one of the features of our Axient Anchor product is the file server enablement feature. So that is the ability to install this agent onto a server or even a desktop or whatever the environment may look like, and then actually be able to dive into that server and map folders that live on that server up to what we call a team share, which is similar to a network share on your local machine. Here in the cloud, all with just a couple clicks of a button, and all behind the scenes with no downtime. So that is still giving the user on-prem access to the data via network share or however they were accessing that before. You could do a hybrid mode where that file server remains on site, and then you're giving folks access to this data via the Anchor cloud, the Axient Anchor cloud. There's mobile applications, Windows even, Android, iOS, a website, so that this data can then be accessed anywhere in the world. You're getting data protection with this. So we do have an unlimited retention period, retention period that does allow for every single edit of this document or any document that lives in the data that's synchronized up to be accessed and recovered back to with, again, just a couple clicks of a button. So a ransomware were to roll through an environment, you're getting data protection using this tool as well.
So ransomware hits you at 5:01 p.m. tonight. When can you roll back to?
You roll back to 5 o'clock p.m. tonight. It's going to recover that environment to exactly what it looked like prior to that ransomware rolling through. So I actually utilized this tool at the MSP that I worked at as well for 3.5 years. Our largest client of 330 end users it was deployed out to. So here, showcase that we are able to recover that back to the minute before an event had happened, to exactly what that data looked like with just a couple clicks of a button. Okay. Another note here is that it does also let you map a network drive. So if you have a NAS in an environment, you can map up the shared folders on a network attached storage device to the Anchor cloud as well, and keep that in a hybrid mode. But what most people do is actually migrate from those NASs to the Anchor cloud inclusively. So I don't want to spend too much more time on the Anchor tool. I don't want to get too in depth on the features and the benefits of it. That's something that can come with a follow-up call and jump into a demo or even a trial of this product or our Cloud Finder product. So what I want to go ahead and switch over to now is Cloud Finder. So Cloud Finder is our Office 365 backup product. It does work behind the scenes, so it is a SaaS to SaaS backup. It uses the Microsoft APIs that are out there. Setting it up is a cinch. Just takes a couple minutes. You're essentially adding a service, typing in a global administrator email address and password, and then it's going to present you with a list of all of the users that are in that environment for you to go ahead and select for backup. You can set this and forget it There's a feature that allows for all the new users and the new SharePoint sites to automatically be added once they're created in that Office 365 tenant accounts. So that's the backup piece. The other part of our product is the Finder part. So that's one thing that I really think that we stand out on, is the ability to do a text search in a matter of just a couple seconds and yield. It doesn't matter if it's 3,000 items or over 1 million items. I've tested it out over the last couple of years being around Axient, and it's always consistent on the speed at which it searches. What it's searching as well is into every single email message, every attachment that's on the emails, and the data that's in the attachments. So a Word document, it's going to search inside of the Word document on that email attachment.
You just did that live. This is not a pre-canned
Correct.
recorded.
Yep.
I want to make sure everybody recognized that you just typed in test. You could type in another word and it would pull it up that quickly.
Here, I'll do one that's going to yield a lot more. There's 57,000 items.
Wow.
So again, I've done this probably about 1,000 times. And it doesn't matter how many items I try to pull there, it's always going to be consistent there.
So if you have, as clients, law firms or financial firms, and you're needing to go in and find records for a financial audit or legal hold, this allows you to just go in and pull that information versus having to go in through specific people that are working on the case. You can just put in a case number and pull in any reference to those case numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, down to, we talked about so far just the Exchange environment. So it's searching mail contact calendars, attachments, so on and so forth. But it's also searching in the OneDrive data and the SharePoint data and the revisions of those documents as well. So every time that document is revised, when that backup is pulled into the Cloud Finder environment, it's fully indexing that data every single time. And then I can go back and search the different historical versions of these documents. As you'll see here, here's a version from last year of this exact same document. It just has a little bit different text in the document. And I'm actually able to view the document right here in the browser. So this is the contents of the document, just a test document here. I can download to my environment, download right to my machine. I can restore back either one document, a subset of a search environment. So maybe it's a search of 100 items or an entire mailbox. And I'm able to restore that back not only to the original user that owned it, but I can also restore it back to another user in that environment and do a cross-user restoration. So that's pretty important whenever somebody leaves an organization and you're able to keep the data inside of Cloud Finder, but then do a cross-user restore of what that data looked like on the date that they left the organization and pump that out to somebody's mailbox with just a couple clicks of a button and never needing to log into their machine or go to that mail environment and export a PST. So that's probably as deep as I want to go. I know we've already spent, a little over 30 minutes here of your time. We've talked about 3 different products and, so on and so forth. So I don't want to go too deep there for you guys, but do want to open it up for, any questions that you guys have, whether that's answered here live or even, one-on-one after the call. We can definitely, go a little deeper into our products and the solutions that we're providing for you.
So we did have another question come in, if we can get to it, and I'm gonna paraphrase it and then multi-part it. First of all, does Cloud Finder back up Anchor?
Cloud Finder does not back up Anchor. Anchor has its own set of backups and redundancy that's built into the Anchor product.
So that's the first part. And the second part, what about search capability within Anchor? What are the capabilities like with Cloud Finder? How easily it can index and search? What about Anchor in that perspective?
Yeah, so Anchor will go down to the metadata level. It'll search folder names, file names, and that's the extent of it. It cannot get into the actual documents and search the text that was in the documents.
Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you very much. That looks like it concludes the questions that we've had. Greatly appreciate it. I do want to give most of the people back, but we are giving away a Amazon gift card. So while my producer goes out and does his random generator to figure out who is the lucky winner, I do want to go back and talk about, if you haven't gone into the chat window and clicked on the link to be able to register for the Treat Wave. Those are free things. You are going to get Amazon gift cards. You're going to get DQ gift cards. You're going to get ebooks. You're going to have all of that sent to you. Essentially free money. Make sure before we close this out that you go into that chat window, click on that link so that you have the capability to register and get all that information. I don't want anybody to walk away without getting the free stuff. With that, who is our lucky winner? The lucky winner is not Nick, because he's the sales guy. I know, Dom, I'm just being fun. Is Robert Cerna. Robert Cerna, you're the lucky winner. We'll be getting contact with you to provide the gift card out to you. Want to thank everybody for joining us. Greatly appreciate your time today. We will be sending a link out to everyone if they want to review this. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, or the rest of your week. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, guys.